What's up, folks? First and foremost, I want to thank everyone that has been interacting and commenting on the videos on the new channel. We are up to 300 subs. I think when I started this channel a few weeks ago, like 2, 3 weeks ago, it was like maybe 4 or 5 subs. So the interaction has been phenomenal. So thank you for that. I felt the need to do a reaction video today based off some of the comments that I've seen. Let me say this. I welcome comments, even if you agree, disagree. Healthy discourse is important. The lack of ability to critically think and to be able to discuss something and have a conversation with someone that disagrees with you is fundamentally hurting certain parts of the world right now, aka the US. So I will always welcome that. And so with that being said, I don't think any of the comments that are being made on the videos are in bad form. Let's just say that. However, it's really easy sometimes, I think, to watch a video and just have some misconceptions about a person. So let's start with the fact that we understand. I am a global citizen. I've lived all over the world. I'm from the Deep South originally. My wife is from Ukraine. She came to the US when she was 17, didn't speak the language. We both moved out of our homes, prospective homes. We both have had our share of different challenges and situations where we won't go into that, right? But I think it's really easy sometimes to see two people that work in tech that are leaders in their respective fields and not understand that, I'll keep it a buck with you. Ain't shit sweet over here. It just ain't, right? What we have accomplished has been earned through blood, sweat, tears, grit, right? We don't have generational wealth. We didn't come from money. I didn't have an inheritance. I've had to learn some very painful lessons. Those of you that know me, I'm not shy about my background in terms of I worked in the service industry for a while. There were times where I would get off at 6:30 a.m., go home, shower, and be, in my multiple degrees that I have, my multiple certifications, I'd be the first in class at 8 a.m., working on 1 hour sleep. And I did that for like 3 years. I can't write down every job that I've had. I literally cannot write down every job that I had. There were years where I've had 3, 4 jobs. And I mean, I'm talking anything from, working at UPS to loading in 110-degree heat planes, airplane cargo to there's a number of different roles that I've had right before I got to this cushy career in tech, right? So there's context for everything, right? And so let me be a little bit more focused and nuanced, right? And so you hear me say when people that I mentor and younger folks or people that come to me and they'll ask for advice on where to live, there's no place that's perfect, folks. There's no place that's perfect. The best you can do is for your situation and for your family or for whoever you're supporting, check off as many boxes as you can, right? In a world where healthcare is shit and the challenges that are happening in the US and things of that nature, right? Singapore is refreshing for us. I won't go into it, but I spend a lot of time with locals here. We don't just live in an expat bubble, right? We are actively finding ways to engage in the community. What ways in which, okay, when we're here for the long term, how do we give back? How do we, there's not this arrogant Westerner mentality like, I'm here now and I'm going to make Singapore better. No, I'm just, how can I contribute? How can I be a blessing to someone? Right. How do I like going around to the different heartlands and the HDBs and spending time and understanding the history behind families here and how things work has been important to us. Right. We're under no illusion. And when you have a place like Singapore that's really safe, that comes at a cost. That just does. Someone is paying that cost. So let's do a reaction real quick. There were a couple comments that were made that I want to deal with. Like, so this first comment by Floating Sunrise, I guess in one of my videos, you can tell where I live. I live next to Rifle Range, which is one of a large nature preserve here. And it's one of the largest hills here in Singapore. It kind of looks like a jungle. And so they're calling out that this private estate in Bukit where I live, is where mostly the rich reside. There's landed property and condominiums around. They talk about buying landed property costs millions. They talk about transport, and it seems like you are someone with $, $. I don't think they mean harm by that, but we have 2 German Shepherds and a cat. We purposely targeted a landed property because we needed the space. We are not happy with the rent. The rent is really high. But it is what it is, right? So I think being rich and wealthy is subjective. I'm wealthy because I have a beautiful family and I have wonderful and intelligent kids and a wonderful wife that I feel blessed to be able to travel and work and to be able-bodied and to be thriving. That makes me wealthy, right? I don't have a trust fund. I didn't come from money. Every dollar I have, I earned, right? God, I've had a long career. I've had so many lessons learned, right? So I don't, you know, this idea that, there are wealthy people around us. Yes. There are people with, I call it fuck it money. Yes. That's not us. Hence I'm working. Hence we work. Right. So I don't think this person meant anything harmful by that comment, but like, we got to be careful with that. Right. Cause I think it's really easy to look, oh, he lives up there. Like he must be. No, everything has come at a cost, my friend. It just had. And to get to where we are, to where we can move across the planet and live in a landed property like this, the book that I write, there is so much sacrifice, so much pain, so much hurt, so many lessons that I had to learn. So we got to get out of the habit of thinking that, oh my gosh, that person, because there's a lot of that here. There's a lot of opulence and there's a lot of wealth. We don't conduct ourselves in that way. If you meet me and you see me out in the street, you see me on the MRT, I'm approachable. I can have coffee with just about anyone. And I think that the reason that people tend to like me, and the reason that we've done so well here with making friends, is that what you see is what you get. I am empathetic. I do have many different faces, right? The nature of what I do, right? It's similar to the Japanese, right? There's a face that you show the world. There's a face that you show your job. And there's a face that you show others that you're just kind of interacting with. And then there's your real face, right? And by real face, it doesn't mean being fake. It's right. It's not everyone earns the right to have access into your life and who you actually are, right? The nature of how the world works means that you have to be guarded with certain things, right? So I just don't want people to make the assumption that, oh my gosh, he's living his best life in Singapore. He's got all this money. It's not like that. It's not like that, right? And so I did want to address that. There's another comment I want to address here, right? These videos are relatively short. They're not that long, right? But there's someone that is writing a lot of comments, right? And I think it's YMHK Travel, which I appreciate your input, by the way. Thank you so much. What they say? Someone made a comment and they listed like 8 things they agreed with me about Singapore, about why it's great. They said the hospitals here are great. They're like 5-star hotels. And this person was just like, okay, is this a Singaporean talking? I'm trying to find the comment. Yeah, this is what he says. He's like, the guy above is like overly effusive about Singapore. It's safe, but low crime doesn't mean no crime. Understand that. There's still petty crime here, right? I didn't try to represent that, right? Again, compared to the U.S. and compared to some places I've lived, it's great. It's phenomenal, right? You go on to talk about hospitals are clinical, not cozy. He's like, it's rubbish to say that they're like a 5-star hotel, because if that were true, people would be vacationing in the hospitals. Very true. I think the person above was just trying to agree with me and just trying to positively affirm, like, hey, this is a good video. But I'm under no illusions that, oh my gosh, like it's perfect here. It's like 5-star hotels. Like, no, I get that. But then you go on to make a comment and they say that, and this is a very true comment. They say, as an ethnic Chinese, to say that there's no racial discrimination is criminal. Not one country with a heterogeneous demographic can honestly say that, which I'm beginning to wonder whether the guy above is even Singaporean. It's just not as overt as in the USA. It's hardly physical, more likely verbal, online, and quiet thinking. That part. Let me be very, very clear, right? I've said before in previous videos that I'm a black man no matter where I go. I just am. I'm under no illusions there, right? It is not perfect here. Like, sometimes it's the microaggressions that get you, right? So for instance, my wife's from Ukraine. My kids are lighter skin complexion with like large, beautiful curly hair. People have been like, oh my gosh, your kids are so gorgeous. He's so handsome. She's so cute. Aren't you glad they turned out like their mom? As if I'm lucky, as if I should be lucky and thank my stars that my kids are a lighter complexion. They've said it. They made comments, right? And that's not like, oh my gosh, like I hate black people, or it's not the overt racism that'll get to you, right? And there's plenty of comments that folks of other ethnicities, not just white, have made, right? About skin complexion, right? And just kind of somehow negatively implying that, my darker skin, like, oh, well, lucky your kids don't have to face that, right? I have my own complexion. Growing up, dark skin in the South, if you know, you know. It took me years to learn to love my skin, to learn to love and appreciate, like, that it's beautiful in its own right. Took a long time, of hating myself and just like wondering, like, why am I not like other folks, right? The jokes that people make when you take pictures or when the flash isn't on, when it's dark, like all these different things, right? And so I'm under no illusion, right? Racism is everywhere. Ignorance is everywhere, right? And so I don't think that was my intent when I talked about race. I choose not to let race define my moves and my path in life. It exists. People have made ignorant comments here, right? So don't watch my videos and think that I'm one of these influencers or content creators like, oh my gosh, here are the 10 reasons you should be moving here and why it's perfect and it's great. My life is awesome and I'm great. No, that is not the case. So I do thank this person for typing all this in the comment section and going into a little bit more detail, right? That part is valued, and I appreciate that, right? But yeah, I think I'll leave you with this, right? Because I don't want to ramble on, but like my approach here, we are here for the long term. And I like to think that I've learned a lot. I think that in my few months here, there are some expats, they come here and they work and they make their money and they just stay in their bubble. They make no attempt at understanding the nuances. They make no attempt at building lasting relationship. They hang out with people that look like them, that talk like them, that work like them. That is not who we are, right? We are finding ways to be a blessing, finding ways to impact. We are the reason that I'm so well liked all over the world, I'm not saying this with arrogance, right, is because I know when to shut the fuck up and listen. I don't go to Germany or I don't go to Spain. I don't go to Singapore. I wouldn't go to China. I wouldn't go to Japan. I wouldn't go to Vietnam and be like, well, I am the Westerner. I have closed multiple $100 million deals for the likes of Cisco, for the likes of Google. So therefore, I've attended Stanford and you should listen to me. No, I've accomplished a lot in life. I stand on that 10 toes down, but it's because I've worked very hard. I've put myself in very uncomfortable situations. I've challenged myself, right? I have taken risk, right? And even that does not give me the right to go someplace and be like, look, I figured it out. Listen to me. No, if you meet me and you ever meet me in person, we ever share coffee, I'm genuinely interested in who you are. What makes you tick? What are your challenges? What are your fears? What can you share? Right. And if there's a way for me to exchange or share a story of mine or some perspective to help you do better, then so be it. That's appropriate. Right. But God, man, Americans can be such bulls in China shops. Right. That sort of American exceptionalism, that sort of unmitigated arrogance is the very same thing that is tearing down certain parts of the US. So in this household, we understand that we are not the center of the universe. We understand that we are guests here. We are trying to make ourselves useful. And if we can, in that process, we find a way to make ourselves at home, we will try and do so, right? But we lead with humility, with curiosity, and with acceptance, right? So that is our creed, right? And that is my motto in life. That's the foundation of who I am. And so no matter where I am on this globe, that's Chris. That's the Tao of Chris. That's my culture, right? And I think people respond well to that, right? And I think we will do very well here, right? Because we're not just here to be like, what can I take from Singapore? What can I take? We're not locusts, right? And there is that sort of selfish mentality, and I hate to see it. The ability or the lack of ability to be able to have a critical thought and truly have a dialogue or discourse is lost on the world right now. We're in a world where we're either left or right, and like, oh my gosh, God forbid someone disagrees with me. God forbid someone doesn't have my same viewpoint. Like, that's exactly what's going wrong in the world now, especially in the US, right? The way to combat that sort of ignorance and that sort of divisiveness is to be humble, to be curious, and understand that not everyone's going to think like you. Just like not everyone looks like you, not everyone thinks like you, not everyone has the same ideals, and that is okay. It's through cultural exchange and conversation. One cup of coffee at a time, whether I'm in at work or whether I'm in the heartlands or whether I'm in Bukatima or whether I'm volunteering. Like, I'm always trying to find ways to bring value and to listen and to learn a little bit more. That's the fundamental core of who I am. Despite the 5 or 2 minute YouTube videos, I felt the need to make this reaction video to say that, look, I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the insights. Keep them coming. Thank you for your subs. Just try your best not to assume, right? I think where we live is very fortunate. I'm very aware that, this is an area with lots of opulence. We don't come from money. We've worked very hard for what we have, and this just suits our needs right now. But we're under no illusions that, oh my gosh, we're living the perfect life and everything is just awesome, right? Because it's not. Right. And I hope through my videos to show authenticity and to talk about the good and talk about the bad as well. But overall, compared to where we came from, like, my view of, I'm high on Singapore right now. The dopamine is kicking in because you come from the US where things are kind of whatever. Right. And so my opinion is going to be a little bit elevated. Right. and I don't choose to spend time to focus on all the negative. But I rest assured, I know Singapore is not perfect. I know that there are things that can improve, right? But thank you so much for the input, y'all. Keep the comments coming, keep the engagement coming. Hope you enjoy this video. Thank you so much. Looking forward to going on this journey with you. Peace.